If you're looking for answers to prayer, especially if you're looking for healing in your body, you must have faith. Faith is required to get results. Just as we have to follow the laws of physics to fly a commercial jet aircraft, we have to utilize the principles of God's kingdom, the laws, to open access to God's superior power in our situation. God does indeed do the supernatural. He's a miraculous working God, but you'll find that Jesus taught us again and again to utilize faith. And a lot of times he chastised his followers for their unbelief, which is the opposite of belief. So we're going to be talking about faith. Jesus taught that when we become born again, each of us become a channel between heaven and earth. We now have a spirit, once we're born again, that is in sync with God, and therefore, technically, it's in sync with heaven. Jesus said, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. I've given you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Remember that you are a spirit. You have a soul, and you live in the body. Your spirit and your heart are the same. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. And the body, we all know, it is this temporary tent that we live in now, that those of you who are born again, followers of Jesus, you will actually exchange this for a glorified body later. But the point today is, have faith in God. And if you'll have faith, you will find healing quickly. The bottom line is, if we don't align ourselves with God and His way of doing things, then heaven's power has little to no way into our own lives. You know what we want to do in the modern, commercial, Christian world that we live in here? We want God to come down and do things our way, the way that we ask Him to do. And we don't take the time to go up to God and learn how He's designed it in the first place. We want everything quick, we want everything fast, and we want everything done on our terms. And it's no wonder that so few people literally trust in God with faith. Now, there's a lot of people that use hope. What most people think about when they hear the word faith, in reality, they're thinking about hope. Now, they won't use the word hope, they'll say faith, but they'll mean hope for all intents and purposes. But it's by faith that we receive from God. Faith is heaven's currency. Faith is what works in heaven, so faith is what we'll want to know how to work on earth. We've got to learn how to use faith and hope and the two together. Let me say it this way. Hope is out there and you're here. And if you hope for something, that's a good thing. We want to hope in what God has promised. So we'll need to know what God has promised so that we can first establish our hope in His Word. But hope is out there, you're here. And what we hope for is still out there. We haven't quite got it yet. We're believing for it. We're expecting it. We're hoping for it. But it's there and you're here. Faith is different. Faith is taking what you hope for, and in a sense, you're grabbing it, pulling it into the here and the now, and you're possessing it. See, that's different than hope. Faith is here and now. Unbelief is one of the greatest hindrances. Jesus said this when I'm referring to now Matthew chapter 17. I'll start with verse number 14. But a man came to Jesus and said, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic. Other versions say, they're a lot more accurate, he's crazy, a lunatic, he has seizures. And he suffers severely, for often he throws himself into the fire and often into the water. So I thought, I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said to them, listen to this. Jesus is speaking now. O faithless and perverse generation. O faithless and perverse generation. How long shall I be with you? And how long shall I bear with you? Bring him here to me. I can just sense his frustration. And Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then the disciples came to him later privately, and they said, why could we not cast it out? And Jesus said to them, now listen, Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief. I'm going to stop right there. That's not the end of the sentence, but that's what he started with. Because of your unbelief. It wasn't because you hadn't fasted. It wasn't because of what you had done the day before or what meal you had. It was the unbelief. And by the way, one of my precious pastor friends and awesome author of a tremendous church in Alabama has written a book called Unbelief, the Only Hindrance to Receiving from God. You can find that at our bookstore, and it's highly recommended. We have that in our store for people just like you that need to build your faith for healing and for answered prayer. Back to that scripture, Jesus said, for assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed. Now here's kind of an analogy that Jesus is using. You will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Nothing in line with God's will ever be impossible if you'll have faith and use that faith. That's me talking now. The Bible goes on, however, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. Now this kind, we're talking about this kind of demon. So yes, prayer and fasting is helpful, but remember what he said at the beginning. It didn't go out because of your unbelief. So today we're focusing not on fasting, although that's powerful. Look on YouTube, look at our daleblack.org and our watch videos. We have some wonderful videos that will help you understand how to utilize fasting as a powerful tool. But today we're talking about building faith. We want to build the opposite of unbelief, and we want to build our faith, and that comes from believing what God said in his word, acting on that, and putting that belief system in your heart. We want to thank lots of you who have been helping us pray for the immigration meeting that we had last week. It went amazingly well, supernaturally well, tremendous harmony, just peaceful as can be, optimistic, absolutely wonderful. So thanks for praying. If you'd like to see these videos continue, we're reaching thousands every week, and we want to invite you to partner with us. Go to daleblack.org and look at DBM Partnership. There's some great benefits, and we would just love to invite you to help us reach more people with the gospel, the teachings of Jesus in the Bible, and helping people understand that Jesus is the only way to heaven. So thanks again for watching. This is Dale Black reminding you again that with God nothing is impossible. See you next time.